We're just going to give it a moment and let the waiting room clear. Please make sure you're muted as you enter. All right, we will get started. Good afternoon. This is a hearing before the Boston Cannabis Board, the BCB. Today is January 15th, 2025. Please note that today will be both the BCB's transactional and voting hearing. Today's hearing is being conducted pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. This is what allows us to meet virtually. This hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review some procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce.
Thanks, Jasmine. Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Joyce, Chair of the Boston Cannabis Board. Today I'm joined by Commissioner Lisa Holmes, Commissioner Gabriel Camacho, Commissioner John Smith, Commissioner Ramon Soto, and Commissioner Sonal Gandhi.
Thank you, Chairwoman Joyce. My name is Jasmine Nguyen. I am the Boston Cannabis Board Manager, and we are also joined by Luke Santos, who is the Cannabis Licensing Specialist. I will begin by calling each item in the order they appear on the agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the proposal before us. For today's hearing, we have one amendment to an already approved establishment, followed by old and new business. The amendment proposal will have 5 minutes to present to the BCB, followed by questions from the board members. We will then take public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives, followed by the general public. You may use the chat function or raise hand function to request to testify. After we hear the testimony, we will move to a vote. The only matter we will have hear testimony from is the amendment application. The other petitions have already been heard and testimony has been given. Each board member has the ability to grant with conditions, defer, reject without prejudice, which means the applicant can return anytime with an application at the same location, or reject with prejudice, which means the applicant cannot reapply at the same location for 1 year. We will begin with the amendment. The licensee is Green Flash Delivery LLC, doing business as Green Flash Delivery. The license premise is 225 Southampton Street, Roxbury. The license type is a marijuana delivery operator, and they are requesting to amend their operating hours. The current hours are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. They are proposing their hours to be 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. Who is present on behalf of the licensee? Mario. All right, Mario. You guys will have 5 minutes. You may begin.
Yes, we actually don't have any presentation. We've done a community outreach, spoken to our neighbors, abutters, flyered emails, and everyone was totally fine with it. We did a community meeting. No one came. We're simply asking for the extension of hours as deemed appropriate by the State Cannabis Control Commission.
Chairman Joyce, do you have any questions?
Thanks. I have no questions about the extension of hours.
Commissioner Holmes? Commissioner Camacho?
No questions.
Commissioner Gandhi?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Soto?
No questions.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Jasmine. No questions. Thanks.
All right. We will move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives. Jeremy, are you speaking? We can't hear you.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
My headset was muted. I apologize, everyone. Madam Chair and members of the board, for the record, my name is Jeremy Bembury. I am the Roxbury Community Engagement Specialist for the Office of Neighborhood Services. The applicant has completed the community process, which consisted of an abutters meeting, which I facilitated on December 11th, specifically for the change of hours for the delivery of cannabis only. With no abutters in attendance, no opposition, no support was voiced during the meeting. The proposal then presented to New Market Business Association, where they did receive a vote for support. We have also received one letter of support as well. Thank you for your time, and the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services would like to defer to the board for their judgment.
Thank you, Jeremy. District 7 office.
Hi, thank you. My name is Angie. I'm representing Councilor Anderson, District 7. I will read a letter that the councilor has drafted for this. It reads, to whom it may concern, I write to request a deferral or opposition to the cannabis license for Green Line Boston Inc. at 100-114 Hampton Street in Roxbury.
Angela, this is Green Flash. This is not Green Line. Those are two different.
Apologies. Thank you so much.
Any other elected officials or their representative? All right, Gloop, did anyone sign up to testify on Green Flash delivery?
No, I did not.
Okay. All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter? All right, seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement. Oh, sorry. Elizabeth from Rep. Moran's office. Elizabeth, oh, now I see you. I just sent you a request to unmute.
Hi, this is Elizabeth from Rep. Moran's office. He just wanted me to read a couple of points and to talk about his opposition, reinforce his opposition to the new license. And I'm just pulling them up right now.
Is this for Green Flash? Because that's what we're talking about now.
Sorry?
Is this for Green Flash or for Green Line?
Green Line. I thought we were on Green Line.
No, we're on Green Flash.
Okay, I can wait. Thank you. Sorry.
That's it. Anyone else would like to speak on Green Flash delivery? All right.
Hey, how you doing? This is Dwayne.
Hold on. Dwayne, you're muted if you're speaking. Yeah. Dwayne?
Am I muted?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hear me?
Yes.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? My name is Dwayne Edward Osborne with Green Flash Delivery. We are on to extend our hours from 7 a.m. to 11. We want 7-Eleven being able to deliver cannabis in Boston. And that's why we're on here with you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know where my business partner is, but that's what it is.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter? All right, seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Lavette, I see your hand raised. Are you speaking for Green Flash or?
So I just wanted to say that we also have businesses. We have our work where we do recognize how the cannabis works and how businesses work. So we're not against, new development and new buildings. And this is a testimony to the fact that we have nothing to say about this. We have something to say about the second item, but to show that we are not vehemently against this, but we are about the other one so that we know that we're balanced in our thought process.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to testify on Green Flash delivery? All right.
Could I ask a quick question, please?
Sure.
Will there be public testimony on Green Line? Because was told there was no chance.
No, I was going to say that after we get through Green Flash, because everyone.
Okay, because I didn't tell anybody about the meeting.
No,
okay, all right, thank you.
You didn't tell anyone because you're cheating and doing deceptive practices as usual.
All right. All right, the board will take this matter under advisement for Green Flash. And just to clarify again, Green Line Boston, we are not accepting additional testimony. That has already been heard at the last meeting, and we already received all the letters of support and opposition. We will not be taking additional testimony for Green Line Boston, which is the next matter. All right. We're now going to move on to old and new business. The first matter is Green Line Boston Inc. The license premise is 100 to 114 Hampton Street, Roxbury. The license type is a retail recreational cannabis dispensary license. The proposed hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. This is a non-equity applicant. They filed their application May 22nd, 2024. They filed with Inspectional Services August 11th, 2022. and they held their community meeting on August 6, 2024. There was a buffer zone conflict with another cannabis establishment, and this proposal was approved pre-BCB for marijuana cultivator and a marijuana product manufacturing license. I know, Mario, you had wanted to give 2 minutes of an update, so you can.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Jasmine. Just a quick update, because it looks like a lot of information was never really given to the board. So just want to say good afternoon, members of the board. Thank you for letting me speak briefly before you vote today. This has been a 7-year process since I got my first approvals for cultivation and manufacturing, 6 years, 3 mayors, and a pandemic ago. The only thing that has delayed me was getting the building approved by BPDA and ZBA. I had to redesign my building from the ground up several times with multiple revisions. During that process, the zoning for Greenline's address changed to include retail and an arts district. So I had to redesign once again to meet new floor heights, setbacks, and zoning requirements. I was finally approved early last year for Article 80 and by the ZBA for a project that included ground floor retail programming. During the 4 years this redesign process took place, the industry and the world changed. Cannabis cultivation was no longer as profitable as it once was, and the project would not sustain itself without being vertically integrated or having cultivation, manufacturing, and retail. So I began again working with the city, residents, neighbors, abutters, and business associations in Newmarket and Orchard Gardens on adding retail. If retail is not approved, this project will probably not make sense financially, and getting it funded will not be possible. If it doesn't happen, I will sell the property to pay back my debt, and this lot will remain a laydown lot for construction equipment with no benefits for the neighborhood. Before you vote, I ask you to consider the residents of Orchard Gardens, the immediate abutters, and all of the businesses that want Greenline to open with retail and a cafe. The BPDA and ZBA approved this project for retail because they felt it was ideally appropriate for this location. Currently, there's nothing in the area that serves the community. Greenline has already done more for the community than many other businesses, and we have not even broken ground. If we are approved, we will create jobs for the community on day one with community mentorship teams, Billy Moran, keeping construction jobs in the neighborhood. And once we are built, we will offer over 100 jobs with the priority of hiring from the community. The residents of Orchard Gardens and Newmarket businesses want this because they believe this will be a positive impact that pushes back against the negative impact of mass and Cass. They have spoken, and I hope you vote based on our high application score and the support we have received from the community. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do an expanded community outreach. We not only found out how much support we have, but we learned more about people's concerns that we will be able to address. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move to comments from the board members, beginning with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thanks. So this is not a straightforward one for me. This is complicated and confusing. As has been noted, this predates the board being formed. 6 years ago, you were approved for the manufacturing and cultivation. It sounds like from your testimony, you're basically saying, hey, if you don't give me this, I'm going to take my ball and leave. But I want to get back to what milestones have you met with the cultivation and product manufacturing license? And you're in the Newmarket bid. You have their support. In Orchard Gardens, you have their support, but their support is specified that it's because of cultivation and manufacturing. And here we are 6 years later. I don't know, as chair of the board, what you have done to move the ball in that direction, and I need more information.
May I?
Yeah.
Yes, so we actually have explicit support from Orchard Gardens and letters of support from them specifying that they would like the retail component because they see that it would benefit the neighborhood. So we have letters of support from Orchard Gardens Residents Association, Lisa Hall, Peggy, and Charmaine, and Chris. 4 members of the board have actually written letters of support, and they're all unanimously in support of it. And the reason it's taken so long was once I got the cultivation and manufacturing approval 6 years ago, I was asked to redesign the building because they saw this neighborhood developing and they wanted me to be the face of this new neighborhood. So I had to go and do a more community-centric design. And when I went and redid that design, the Newmarket zoning changed for the bid, and this area was rezoned for retail and an arts district. So I had to redesign my building again after I'd even completed construction drawings and mechanical and engineering. So I've redesigned and done over 100 revisions, adding setbacks, new bike rack areas. I had to add bike locker rooms, changing rooms, showers for the employees. We had to then redesign our roof to be a green roof for rainwater runoff. We had to change our entrance because they wanted, with the new zoning, the entrance had to be in the front with different setbacks. So each time I had to redesign this for the BPDA, I had to redo all of the interior programming, move elevators, move entrances, and it's cost me close to $1 million in permitting, zoning, architectural, and redesign. And when I said that it's not a, hey, give me this or I'll go away. It's more of a, if we don't get retail, the building won't be financeable. And at this point, I'm so in debt, I'm probably going to have to sell it.
Okay, I just want to interrupt you. I'm pulling from a September 6, 2024 Newmarket bid letter. That being said, as long as this piece is part of any approval given, the Newmarket bid remains in full support of Green Line's plans. Should the manufacturing process component not be included, we would not be able to support this. So what assurances can you give this board as an applicant that you're not going to put aside these other two uses and just focus on retail? Where in the process, how close are you to opening up or having your commence operations in these other two? I'm afraid you're going to come back to me in 3 months and say, we're doubling what we wanted for retail and we're shrinking down what we wanted for cultivation and manufacturing. And then going to come back in 3 more months and say, we've given up on cultivation and manufacturing. We're like this mega retail store.
Right. So the way the program and the building is designed, it wouldn't be more than 10% of the building would be cannabis retail. The cultivation originally was designed for 20,000 square feet of cultivation. In this market, 20,000 square feet would not work. We would be doing a smaller cultivation just because the cost of producing cultivation would be almost an additional $20 million if we built it all out. So we're going to do a smaller cultivation, which I've already discussed with Newmarket. But we are going to do manufacturing, cultivation, and retail. We have to. The only reason.
How close are you to commencing operations on the other two?
We just got approved by ZBA and BPDA to build it. It took me 6 years of revisions, over 100 revisions and 3 or 4 major redesigns just to get approved. I've been in this process for 6 years of getting the building approved. That's how long it takes to get a ground up approved in the city of Boston. And then when they rezoned it, I had to redesign it again. So it's not because I couldn't build it. It's because I wasn't allowed to build it until just this year. It was the first time they approved it. And then over the past 6 years with the market, the economy, the pandemic, the cultivation industry, and everything changing, I had to redo the books and the financial model. And we discovered that without retail, the building would not be sustainable without full vertical, which is why I began the process for retail 2022.
Chair Joyce, I just want to add that these are provisionally licensed by the CCC and that we're paying for those licenses currently. So it's a matter of being able to build it before it goes to final.
Yeah, it's a dirt lot right now with construction equipment. And literally the past 6 years, it's taken me to get through Boston Planning and Development and ZBA and ISD. That was without not including all the stuff with ONS, BCB, and the CCC. I've been through hundreds of meetings and revisions and designs and redesigns and making amendments, adding community benefits, reprogramming for bike racks and blue bikes and setbacks and beautification and street lighting. It's been a very long, arduous process from the city of Boston, not because of the cultivation, not because of the manufacturing, just the actual process of getting a building approved in the city. This is a 7-year process that I've been involved in. And it's not because I've just been kind of hanging out on vacation. It's because I've been trying to go through the 7 levels of hell with planning and development and ISD and all the requirements and the changes and the process that goes into a revision. They would want me to put a tree on the corner and then ZBA would come back and deny it, or ISD would say it blocked the view of someone on the corner, so I'd have to move the trees and then go back to BPDA. And it takes a lot of time, of 6 years to be exact, just to get the building approved before I could come to you and be for starting the process for retail.
Any
I've
other?
been working pretty hard on this for a very long time.
No, I believe you. I previous to my role here as chair of the board, I worked at the BPDA. I understand Article 80. I know it's a long, arduous process. I just I'm not prepared to vote on this today. I will have to follow up with you. There's other concerns with this area now that it's retail. I think you had a lot of support when it was cultivation and manufacturing with no contemplation of retail. So I need to understand with the Article 80 process more. Did they know this was going to be marijuana retail, or was it
100%.
Because
100%.
They knew it was marijuana retail?
Correct, but they knew that it would remain, they could not be approved without going through the process of BCB, the Boston Cannabis Board. It's written into the Article 80.
Okay,
pending approval by the BCB. They approved retail, art gallery, coffee shops, everything.
Did they approve cannabis retail?
Pending approval by the, yes, it's clarified. It's pending approval by BCB.
And those letters are submitted in the original application to the BCB.
Okay. I still have concerns. I mean, this is more industrial than 605 Mass Ave, which we all had issues with. Then that was more residential, but I still have concerns with this distance to Hope House. I believe I need more information.
Happy to oblige. There's a lot of information on this project that I didn't want to inundate the Boston Cannabis Board with. Years of information, including community benefits, concerns about the neighborhood, how we would do our programming for security. The BPDA was incredibly involved in our security design, man traps, and how we laid out entrances and egress for the building because of it. It delayed the process, I'd say, at least a year because of the cannabis programming. They wanted to make sure before they approved it that it was something that was safe in this neighborhood with full awareness of the community issues. And, along the way, I've been in full communication with Orchard Gardens and Newmarket and the abutters about what I was doing.
Okay. And I know we have other experts on the board. Commissioner Gandhi is more of an expert than I am in Article 80, but
if Commissioner Joyce, if I may, I'd also ask you to look at the community benefits we designed into this program with the BPDA in terms of community improvements with the setbacks, beautification, landscaping, lighting, crosswalks, donations and maintenance to the parks across the street, Clifford Park, and charitable donations to the community that are outside of my HCA that are all part of the BPDA community impact plan. This has been a very well thought out process. The BPDA did an amazing job making sure that this project would benefit the community.
Okay, I don't know, Jasmine, I don't know if other commissioners have specific questions.
Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions, comments?
No, I'm with the chairwoman. There's just so much confusion around this. More information and more time is needed. I don't have any questions right now. I couldn't even fathom putting them together right now.
Commissioner Camacho?
Yeah, just a question of clarification. You said that 10% of this project would be retail?
Cannabis retail. 10% of the 10% of the building programming. So each floor is 22,000 square feet as designed. There's a community training and event space with the cannabis manufacturing on the third floor. The second floor right now is currently designed for 22,000 square feet of cultivation. Financially, it does not make sense to build all of that. It would be a little bit smaller cultivation, just to clarify that now, so it's not a surprise, as Commissioner Joyce mentioned. But the actual cannabis retail on the ground floor is less than 10% of the entire building's programming.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gandhi?
Thank you, Jasmine. Um, Super complicated, and I appreciate the amount of time that it's taken the proponent to go through the various processes that you mentioned. Just a quick question. So the rezoning, does that allow for retail in the entire district?
There's a new market bid proposal. It's a rezoning that went through the area, and there's a couple different parts of New Market that have slightly different zoning for more for biotech, more for manufacturing. In the section that I'm in was zoned to bring in, they want to bring in more retail and arts district. They're trying to improve and bring up this neighborhood. They see an opportunity by bringing in new life and community engagement to improve the area. And the BPDA and the ZBA agreed, looking at this project and everything else, that this was the ideal zoning and appropriate use for the location when they voted for it. So my section where I am is the zoning changes were, I believe, 20-foot floor to ceiling retail space on ground floor, no height restrictions, and it had to have a manufacturing and retail component to the building for it to be approved, which ironically during the 6-year process when they rezoned it, I was like, something great happened. Like this is actually perfect with what I've been working for, and my vision actually lends to what they want in the neighborhood. So there's been a lot of hiccups and speed bumps over the past 7 years, but this was actually finally some timing worked out for me. I wasn't too far ahead or too far behind. I was actually in the right place at the right time.
Thank you. That's super helpful. I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that, because while the BPDA has the can zone an area to be for an allowed use, it doesn't necessarily say what that specific use is. So what retail can go in there or not. So it can be zoned retail, but that doesn't mean that a specific kind of retail, they don't have the authority to dictate what specific kind of retail can go in there. So it's a little bit more nuanced than that.
Yes.
I have to agree with my previous commissioners. I think a little bit more time is needed here. It's complicated. I'm concerned about your statement that if this doesn't move forward, the business is not able to succeed. I think just adding on to Commissioner Joyce's comments. So in my humble opinion, I think a little bit more time is needed to really sort through this. And I want to make sure that we're heard from, have the time to really read through all the neighborhood comments. Those are extremely important. While a rezoning can occur, that doesn't mean that it's a blanket approval of any kind of retail in any kind of area. So I think the community voice is extremely important here. I want to make sure we've read those in a thoughtful way as well.
If I may also, I just want to let you know that we have submitted all of the information, community benefits and requirements from BPDA in the letter I sent you to the board with all of and also some of the provisions we've decided to make after our latest community outreach and hearing from people in the area. And if there's anything you would like me to submit from the ZBA, I could find, it's all public information. All of the meetings have been recorded, as you know. So it's all public. And if you would like to set a meeting where we could review this, I know there's a lot of confusion. This is a very complicated project. I've been through the ringer. This has broken me several times. It's taken a lot to get back up and keep going on this because of all the process and designing an entire building for cultivation manufacturing, and then finding out I have to redesign it after I did construction drawings and MEPs and start over from scratch, and then have to do it again because the zoning changed, and then have to do it again for the retail component. And then the retail process has been a lot. So coming into this, there's a lot of information. If it would make sense to set a meeting and I could answer any questions, or I could show you more of the timeline, or just show you the information, because I understand it's probably a little overwhelming. I have all that information. If it's publicly available, or if it's easier for me to answer those questions, just let me know.
I think we have the information. I think it's better for us to have the public information available to the public, and you can look at that information. I don't think a meeting is necessary.
Of course, absolutely. And you'll also see the BPDA letter specifies cannabis retail approval and based on BCB's final approval.
Commissioner Smith, do you have any questions, comments?
Thanks, Jasmine. I do not at this time.
Commissioner Soto?
Sorry, I was was clicking around because just to kind of follow on in the previous comments, I was also trying to digest the various perspectives from the community as well, and would benefit, I think, from some more time to really look at it and parse it out. The one question I had was, have you considered, or has delivery been sort of incorporated into this process? And apologies if I missed that somewhere, but I'm just thinking about the concern about the solvency of everything with no retail. At what juncture would that have been considered? Have you considered that? So just curious about that specifically.
I think you're asking about the connection to combining the retail from Green Flash Delivery with the project on 100 Hampton Street, which is Green Line Boston.
So, just real quick, Green Line is a non-equity applicant, so they can't do retail. They can't do delivery. It's currently limited by the Cannabis Control Commission to social equity or economic empowerment applicants. So if Green Line Boston were to do delivery, they would need to partner with a social equity applicant who is licensed to do that, such as Green Flash or any other entity. But they could not do it under their own roof.
Okay, great. That answers the question. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I didn't understand. Like I said, Kim said, Green Flash Delivery is a social equity business. I have a partner, Dwayne Osborne, on that. Green Line is non-equity, but it is geared towards the community and supporting the neighborhood and the residents of Orchard Gardens.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Holmes, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I had listening to the whole, I'm confused. Is any manufacturing or cultivation happening at this location presently?
May I? All right. So no, right now it is a dirt lot with construction equipment on it because I just recently was approved by BPDA.
Okay, but you were approved for the cultivation and manufacturing before our board was ever even conceived. Am I right?
That is correct.
Okay, so you haven't done anything in the 6 years. When did you decide you wanted to do retail? Because it seems like and this is why I'm confused. If this was licensed prior to us being established as a manufacturing and a whatever else is called cultivation, why weren't you doing anything in that business in all this time?
That is a beautiful question. Beautiful question, Commissioner Holmes.
It's really simple from a very simple woman.
Yeah, you're so right. It would seem so simple, but just when we finally got approved and everything was ready to go, the pandemic hit. Marty Walsh left for DC, and suddenly the BPDA said, hey, we want you to be more of a face of the neighborhood. They looked at the design and they said, we want you to redesign this.
You're telling me the Boston redevelopment, whatever you just said, they wanted you to change your
Boston Planning and Development asked me to make a more community-centric, would change our entrances and make it more of the face of the community over there. So this was before retail. This is before retail even happened. So I had to redesign my building and begin the process again for planning and development. This is probably 2019, 2020. And during that time, the pandemic came in. And then during that time, Newmarket also changed their zoning to add the Newmarket overlay during this process. So I've redesigned this building at least 3 or 4 times ground up and made over 100 revisions.
I don't want to hear that anymore. I got all that. Okay. So let me try to clarify what's confusing my mind. Okay, so what year did you start this whole venture?
2018.
So 2018. So between 2018 and the pandemic, what was happening?
I was going through the process with the Boston City Hall to get my host community agreement.
Okay.
And then it took me about 14 months of wait. It took me 4 or 5 months to complete my application process. And then it took over 14 months for the Cannabis Control Commission to give me approval for my provisional licenses. At that point, I went to the BPDA, and we submitted plans for the building and started the process. About 4 or 5 months into the process, they came back. They didn't like something about it. There was something wrong with the submission, and they asked me to redesign the building. And at this point, I had already done construction drawings and MEPs and everything for the building. And with the programming of a building of this nature, if you move a doorway or a wall, you have to change the programming. But when you have to change parking, entrances, setbacks, you had to basically start completely from the beginning again. So I had to throw away all of the work I had done and start again. And sadly, about a year or two later, as we were going and the neighborhood rezoned, I had to do it again. I had to begin the project, do a notice of project change.
Again, because did you change the basic plan of what you wanted? Because if you were only going to do, and this is why I'm confused, if you were only going to do the manufacturing and cultivation, and I understand sometimes you got to redesign buildings for egress and all that. I get that. But to me, it sounds like you kept changing this because you saw a better financial availability in another idea and then decided you wanted to add that. That's what this is sounding like. It changed every time you wanted to add more to it.
Originally, when I set out to do this as a cultivation and manufacturing building in 2018, my heart was set on creating a Boston craft cannabis brand where we grew and processed and manufactured products for cannabis. 2 years later, when I had to redesign and start all over again and began the process, not by my choice, but per the BPDA, I began the process. Towards the end of that process, the economy and the markets crashed, and I found out that no one was going to put money into cultivation or flower. And if you look around and read the papers, you'll see a lot of.
That's the statement that makes sense right there.
Yeah,
that's the statement that makes sense right there.
Well, go ahead, I'm trying to build a project that will financially make sense and support itself. I'm not going to build. It would cost an additional $20+ million just to add cultivation to this building.
But that's what makes sense. That what you just said makes sense. It changes because of your financial predicament, for lack of a better word.
The process took so long that I had to change. I had no choice but to change the project to make it work financially.
I understand that. But that's what you should have said, sir. That's what you should have said. Because that makes more sense than why you have to keep changing things, because you have to make this make money. It has to make sense. But the way that you have been explaining it doesn't, you're trying to make it sound like everybody else is pushing you to make these changes. And just, I understand these businesses are tough. They are tough to start. They take a lot of money. But, now it makes sense why everything keeps changing. It was just that one line that you said that clarified a lot of why what is happening. And that's fine, but you need to be upfront about why these plans change.
That's in every presentation. I've mentioned that I have had to make a change because the financial markets have shifted. Every one of my PowerPoints and my letters states that I had to pivot and adapt to make this project work. I'm not blaming the BPDA, but the delays in the process have taken so long that I've had to be very
tell
fluid.
me if you get an email. I have to do this in.
Sorry. The process has taken so long and it's gone on for so many years, and it's never been a secret. It's in all of my PowerPoints and all of my letters, Commissioner, that the delays in BPDA and planning and designing the building and trying to get it approved, I've had to make changes because halfway through the process, the world and the markets have all shifted. So this isn't me blaming anyone else. It's just the way the world has changed and the markets and the economy has moved. Would
it be helpful to maybe downsize some of the ideas that you have going?
Well, that's exactly what I'm doing, Commissioner. The cost of cultivation has become so high, and the market has dropped so low that it's become more costs more to grow than sell. So by doing this project, by reducing my cultivation down to a smaller size, and focusing on doing more of a high quality handcrafted product instead of a bulk giant big agriculture style grow, which a lot of these big MSOs have done, we can have a small high craft grow that would be supported by a retail store and a manufacturing facility on the third floor where we can package, we can do pre-rolls, we can make edibles. So it would become a full vertical and it would be smaller. That's why I've added the event space, the coffee shops, and the community art gallery, because there's currently nothing in the neighborhood for local artists and photographers and fashion designers for them to show their work. And I think that coffee, cannabis, art, all of this would lend to something that's, it works. It's what the world likes right now. Like when I consume, I like music, I like art, I like to do activities. People don't like to sit around in a bar. When you go to a bar, people drink alcohol. They sit around, they get drunk, and okay, I'm just going to stop on that market. But what I've done is redesign the programming, the building, so that the cultivation has become smaller. The manufacturing can be a bigger component, and the retail would take a small percentage of it. But yes, what I've done is shift the size of the programming, but I've kept them all there. And I've been paying for these 2 provisional licenses, the cultivation and the manufacturing, for 6 years. Even though the building wasn't approved, the CCC has still made me pay for my renewal fees. And I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars that I have had to borrow to pay to get this project off the ground. And that's, my investors didn't give me that money. I've borrowed that money and I'm on the hook for that money. So I plan on building that cultivation manufacturing because I'm so far in debt on paying those provisional licenses for 6 years. The CCC does not care if I'm making money or if I'm open or the building is approved. I still have to pay that. So no, just to answer everybody's concern on this, there's no chance of me not building the cultivation or the manufacturing. Yes, it'll be a smaller cultivation because no one in the world, in their right mind, is going to build 20,000 square feet of cultivation right now when every cultivation facility in the state is closing down. I still believe that in Boston, having a high quality craft cannabis that's something that people are really proud of, that's grown in the neighborhood in Roxbury, is going to change the city. It's going to be good for the community. It's going to give them something to be really proud of. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to get excited. It's just, this is a lot. And I've really been through it on this, but I'm really passionate about it. I put my life into it. Hopefully it doesn't destroy my life, but I believe in it and I'm fighting for it because I think this would benefit the community in Roxbury. And if you ask the residents and the people around there, they will tell you they agree with me.
Well, I appreciate your answers and I thank you. And you
Thank you,
did
Commissioner.
clarified some stuff for me in my head. So thank you very much for that.
Please. Thank you for asking that question.
Thank you. Do any of the board members have any follow-up questions or comments? Chairwoman Joyce, we do have a representative from District 7 office and Rep. Moran's office. Do you want them to be able to speak or?
With, a show respect to the elected officials, I do believe they spoke at the last hearing, but if there's more they'd like to add, I'm happy to listen.
We could start with Elizabeth from Rep. Moran's office.
Hi, thank you. I'm sorry. I have an email from John or Rep. Moran that he asked me to read to you guys on the record today. He apologizes that he is dealing with another issue in the district right now. He just wanted to emphasize that his State House district covers the entire area known as Mass and Cass, from Lower Roxbury through North Dorchester, Newmarket, and the South End. The substance abuse crisis will not be solved overnight, but it is vital that we do all that we can to prevent further concentration. While the rep fully supports the cannabis manufacturing facility, he stands against the expansion to the retail operation in the neighborhood that is in crisis. He makes this what makes this location suitable for manufacturing does not translate to a retail operation. The proximity to Hope House is of greatest concern, combined with a very close proximity to 2 elementary schools. He also wants to point out that he is concerned about the way the community engagement process has been carried out. For example, the promise to meet with Mount Pleasant and Vine Neighborhood Association on January 29th, despite this decision being put on the agenda today. So he is urging you to defer the decision at today's hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. District 7 office? You're muted. We can't hear you.
Hi, thank you. And again, I'm Angie representing Councilor Anderson, and I'll just read the letter that was drafted for this proposal. It says, letter in opposition to proposed license 100-114 Hampton Street, Roxbury, Mass. To whom it may concern, I write to request a deferral or opposition to the cannabis license for Greenline Boston Inc. at 100-114 Hampton Street in Roxbury. While Orchard Gardens Neighborhood Association supports the proposal, the overwhelming majority of the local neighborhood associations have voiced opposition. Community members and stakeholders have reported to my office that concerns that center around the flawed community engagement process, which include practices such as selectively gathering support through misleading outreach materials and holding meetings that were concealed from the broader community. Additionally, one of the neighborhood associations reconsidered hosting a meeting for Greenline Boston Inc. during their January meeting due to their constrained schedules, which did not align with the applicant's timeline. They mentioned, as a volunteer group of committed Roxbury residents, they reserve the right to reconsider meeting with the applicant. Given the significant concerns raised by residents and neighborhood associations, the councilor urges you to reconsider this proposal and prioritize a more transparent and inclusive process. She ends by saying, please contact the office with any further questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. With that being said, we will take a vote. Chairwoman Joyce?
I'd like to keep this open and defer until we have more information. I know it's important to come to a conclusion for your sake, Mario, but it's complicated. It's more complicated than I thought. And I need to take a look at everything.
Okay. Is to a certain date or just?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, so deferral. So the motion is for a deferral.
Yeah, I'm hoping to work on it before the next hearing, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We can say the next hearing if people are comfortable with that. It's fine.
I second that motion.
So defer to the next hearing. Okay. Commissioner Camacho second. Is all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
All right. Commissioner Soto, sorry, I didn't see your hand. Okay. So this matter will be deferred until the BCB's next voting meeting, which would be February 19th. All right. And I just realized we did not vote on the first matter, Green Flash. So I'm just going to go back to that really quick. So the first matter was Green Flash Delivery. The license premise is 225 Southampton Street. The license is for the license type is a marijuana delivery operator. They want to amend their hours to 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. Chairwoman Joyce, a motion?
I make a motion to approve the extension.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, none opposed. So Green Flash hours are amended as requested. Sorry about that. All right, we will move on to our next item. The applicant is Zeb Boutique LLC. The proposed license premise is 1524 to 1526 Dorchester Ave in Dorchester. The license type is a retail recreational cannabis dispensary license. The proposed hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. This is a non-equity applicant. They filed their application October 29th, 2024. They filed with Inspectional Services October 18th, 2024, and they held their community meeting on November 21st, 2024. We will now move to comments from the board members, starting with Chairwoman Joyce.
Remind me, Jasmine, we deferred this before Because they hadn't had,
They didn't finish the community meeting, which they now have completed.
okay. I have no real issues with this application. I think it was strong.
Commissioner Holmes?
No, I'm sorry. I was going back to my notes. No, they had a very strong application when we heard them last month. And yeah, I think the only issue we had was that they had to finish the community process. And since they have done that successfully, then no, I don't have any additional comments or anything for them.
Commissioner Camacho?
No questions or comments.
All right. Commissioner Gandhi?
No questions or comments. Thank you.
All right, and Commissioner Smith was not at that meeting, so he won't be able to vote on this matter. But Commissioner Soto?
All set, thank you.
All right, Chairman Joyce, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and none opposed. So the application is granted. All right, those are all the matters before the board today. The board's next transactional hearing will take place on February 12th at 1 p.m. Thank you all for attending and enjoy the rest of your day.